Hello, I'm Grace Andrews, your WBS librarian. Thank you for joining me today for this quick tutorial on understanding source types. If you watch the What is Research tutorial, you know that research starts with your question and generally falls into two categories: background research and focused research. So today, to get a better handle on research, we have three goals. By the end of this tutorial, you should be able to understand the various types of sources you'll encounter in seminary research, know when and why to consult each type of source, and that has to do with whether it's background or focused research, and know where to find the type of source you're looking for. So let's start with background research. You are going to look for this general background, basic information in a number of different things. First off is specialized dictionaries, encyclopedias, and lexicons. Now, it is important, especially when you're doing biblical and theological research, to not use general English language dictionaries. They are accurate for what they're made for, but they are made for general use. And what you want to know is, how is this specialized term used in the field? So go ahead and look for a Bible dictionary or an encyclopedia rather than just Merriam-Webster or something when you're using a dictionary entry. So they define terms and provide brief explanations of a concept by scholars in the field. So it's a good place to start. Helps you find out what the conversation is so far. Textbooks, handbooks, and introductions provide a book level entry into a subject. So this is useful for anchoring your topic in its wider discipline. This is really good when you're just getting started and you're trying to find out something about the Pharisees, but maybe you want to look at a New Testament introduction or introduction to Second Temple Judaism, something like that. Bibliographies, amazing. They list books and other sources on your subject, and they're a great place to start. So you can find these online a lot of times. Our classic one that we always recommend is Essential Bible Study Tools for Ministry. That one's recommended on almost all of your classes, so use that one. And then also, book reviews are really helpful for this. So they help you decide if a particular book is worth your time. And they'll also sometimes explain the relationship of that book to others in the field. So a good critical review is going to talk about how this book relates to others on the topic and maybe what it's missing, as well as what it does well. So that is very helpful when you're trying to get an idea of what this book is about, but you don't have time to dive into it, read it cover to cover right now. That's not normally what you're doing in research, is reading cover to cover. And then opinion pieces are also helpful at this background research stage. So this can include blogs or editorials, articles in trade journals or magazines, podcasts. All of this is helpful when you're trying to get a baseline understanding of the topic and just figure out what further resources are. You're figuring out keywords at this point. You're just getting an idea of, what do people say about this topic? So really, it's open for any kind of source that will answer that question when you're doing background research. That may or may not be in your final paper, but it's very helpful when you're getting started. Now, after that, once you've used that background information and you've begun to think about your topic a little bit, maybe you've begun writing about it or talking through it with a friend or something, then you're going to get into focused research. Now, it's really important that you think through it yourself first, because focused research is so specialized that you'll have to have a specific question to know whether or not it's appropriate for you. So journal articles cover a highly specific topic, and they're sometimes peer-reviewed. You can normally see that in a database. There'll be a little checkbox that says scholarly journals or peer-reviewed journals, and that's what it'll tell you if other scholars have read this before publication and have commented on it, to strengthen the argument and make sure that it's covering everything that it needs to. So that's generally what you'll see in peer-reviewed journal articles. This is going to be really helpful if you have a very specific question. If your question is still more broad, then it's going to be hard to find a journal article on your topic, because that is not what it's written for. Journal articles are written for the scholarly community to think about very specific issues in a focused, small space. Similarly, monographs cover a specific topic, but they're in more depth than journal articles. So by monograph, I basically mean a book, but it's a book that's focused on one specific idea. A lot of times monographs are theses or dissertations that have then been turned into a published book, and they cover something. It's both deep and pretty thorough, and so you get normally around 200 to 300 pages on a topic, but looking at it from every angle. Monographs are really great for understanding something very specific in depth. They're also really awesome for bibliographies. Similarly, unpublished theses and dissertations, they also give book length coverage to a specific topic. And their bibliographies, again, are nearly comprehensive because this is what people wrote to get their doctoral degree. So, or their master's degree. Sometimes it's a master's thesis. Either way, it's going to be pretty good as far as the bibliography goes. So it's really worth your time. Now you have to look at publication date. Whenever the dissertation was written, of course, if something was written after that, then they don't have it in there. So you need to find other avenues for newer research. But as far as figuring out what the classics are in a field, theses and dissertations are your best friend. Scientific reports are useful for examining statistics and other quantitative data. So they're really good, especially if you're doing something with practical ministry and you want to see what does that look like in the culture today and what kind of reports do we have on that, not just anecdotal evidence, but something that has actually been methodically figured out. Scientific reports are great for that. And then commentaries can be useful in both types of research. So commentaries can provide a good background for the topic that you're in, but most of the time we encourage you to interact with the biblical text yourself first, even before doing background research, because we already have a lot of presuppositions that we're bringing in. We don't want to add more to those. And so we normally recommend keeping the commentaries for the focused research part. So you've already done all of your observation and you've even done an initial interpretation. But then what you want to do is find out, okay, how does your interpretation align with what other people have said? So at that point, you have specific questions that have arisen from your own interaction with the text. And that's what you answer with focused research in the commentaries. So, where do you find these in the WBS library? To find, and I have these organized by the little portal that you'll use. So, background research. If you're looking for dictionaries, encyclopedias, or lexicons, textbooks, handbooks, or introductions, all of that is really good in ProQuest. ProQuest has a lot of full text ebooks, and so you'll find all of these things in ProQuest. You'll find those also in the library catalog. That's what we have in print here. So dictionaries, encyclopedias, lexicons, textbooks, handbooks, introductions, all of that you can find in the library catalog. So at that point, with background research, I would start in ProQuest or the library catalog if you're looking for a book, basically, if you're looking for a dictionary or an introduction book or something like that. If you're looking for book reviews or bibliographies, I would start in EBSCOhost. EBSCOhost has absolutely amazing book reviews. JSTOR also has book reviews. So I would look in both of those places for book reviews to figure out what has been written on a topic. Moving into focused research, if you're looking for monographs, unpublished theses and dissertations or commentaries, particularly the dissertations, ProQuest is the best place to go. If you're looking for other places for monographs and commentaries, the catalog, our print collection has the most commentaries of all of these portals, so that's the best place for commentaries. But we have a lot of good monographs in print as well. And you do have access to that even if you're a distant student. You can also find commentaries in EBSCOhost and also some other books. So anything that is a book in this category, so dictionaries, textbooks, both background and focused research, you can find as books in EBSCOhost. We just have a larger collection of ebooks in ProQuest. So I would start in ProQuest and then check EBSCOhost as sort of a secondary thing. And then when it comes to journal articles, JSTOR. is amazing. EBSCOhost, ProQuest. All three of those have journal articles, and it really just depends on what publishers work through which portal. So check all of them. That's part of the fun of research. You get to go in all these different places and find it. But if you're looking for one just like one-stop shop to begin, I would say ProQuest. You see from this list, it has a really good selection of things, both for background and for focused research. So it's a good place to get started. The major exception is book reviews are even better and more abundant in EBSCOhost than in ProQuest. But you can get all of these on the Populi links page. So if you go to your Populi homepage, and then you can either go up to the library or you can go to links, then you'll see all of these listed with links to them and login credentials. So in this tutorial, you have figured out what the various types of sources you'll encounter in seminary research are. You should know when and why to consult each type of source based on the kind of question you're asking, and you should know where to find the type of source you're looking for. So, as always, feel free to contact me with any questions you have. Thanks for joining for this quick tutorial.